On January 1st, 2016, I made a New Year's resolution that I named my Song of the Day project. Every day for the next 366 days, it happened to be a leap year, I would choose the most significant, relevant, or simply just the best song I heard that day and add it to a playlist. What I didn't know was that this simple concept would expand into a daily routine that I would hold for the next 4 years and grow into one of the most cherished projects that I've ever worked on. But back to 2016. When choosing a song of the day, some days would feature a song from a concert I went to that day, some would be from a soundtrack of a movie I watched, and others would just be something from a suggested playlist that I happen to like. What you're listening to right now is Song of the Day number 1398, Dern by Khruangbin. There was only one restriction for what songs could make the playlist: no repeats from previous days. By the time December 31st rolled around, the playlist ran just over 24 hours long of all the different songs of the day combined. That's a day's worth of audio to describe a year's worth of experience. I enjoyed this first year of the project so much that I decided to keep going and going and going. To this day, I've got over 1,400 songs of the day in a row, taking up over 12 gigabytes of storage on my computer and amassing to nearly 100 hours of music. That is a lot of songs. Back around November of 2017, 23 months into this project, I decided to start keeping track of all these songs in a spreadsheet for organization's sake. It took nearly a week of working for several hours every night, but I eventually inputted every song title, artist, genre, and year of a release into a spreadsheet, allowing me to sort and visualize the data that I've spent nearly 2 years collecting. This simple playlist evolved into bar graphs, pie charts, and scatter plots, describing my exact taste of music in incredible detail. Want to know what kind of music I listen to? Well, I can show you. It's about 30.2% alternative, 16.3% rap, and the occasional 0.1% Brazilian. I like the 70s way more than I like the 80s, and the early 90s have a slight upper hand on the late 90s. Being able to see my music taste visualized in such a unique way is incredibly fun, but the biggest payoff of this project has come from the memories that are attached to it. I can look back from now all the way to 2016 and tell you exactly why certain songs earned their spot as a song of the day. It's kept hundreds of memories from being forgotten, and I get to create playlists of some pretty great music along the way. To emphasize this, I've chosen 3 days from over the course of the past 4 years to highlight their corresponding song of the day and give some background as to why I chose them. To start it off, we're going all the way back to March 12th, 2016, Underdog World Strike by Gogol Bordello. My junior year of high school, I had a friend who had become a huge fan of this self-titled gypsy punk band by the name Gogol Bordello. It just so happened they were playing a show in Eugene, so him, myself, and one other friend made the trek down from Portland to see what this group was all about. We made it to the McDonald Theater and found ourselves front row in the general admission section, right up against the fence. I had no idea what to expect, having only heard one song by this group prior to arriving at their show. What we got was utter chaos. There were about 15 musicians on stage, playing instruments ranging from bagpipes to an accordion to one girl standing center stage with a pair of cymbals. It was some of the most mosh-worthy music I've ever heard performed live, and the crowd definitely lived up to the challenge. After getting my ears blown out by some of the strangest gypsy punk music I've ever heard, I left the theater with bruises on my ribcage from being pushed up against the security fence. Safe to say, it's the most ridiculous concert I've ever attended, and it's definitely a night that I won't be forgetting soon. December 3rd, 2018, This Christmas by Donny Hathaway. At the end of fall term last year leading into winter break, my good friend JP and I set out on a week-long musical excursion at his house in Corvallis. Since we never got to play very often with him living an hour away, we figured we'd take the first week of break and basically just eat, sleep, and jam for as long as we felt like it. We converted his living room into a makeshift studio and spent a solid 6 days writing and recording music. Our setup was laughable, and I even ended up using red Solo cups as monitor stands, but it was one of the most productive and carefree weeks that I've had. One of the songs we recorded was a cover of This Christmas with our friend Julia, who hopped in to sing. Since we were pretty limited by a recording setup, I was only able to record 2 out of 3 of us at once, which usually wouldn't be too much of a problem. However, we also wanted to film a video of us all performing the song, but we obviously couldn't do that and record audio of us all at the same time. So, we pulled some movie magic and faked a performance of the song while playing along to our pre-recorded tracks, aside from vocals. Here's the final product that we made. You can see that things almost line up, but there are some moments where it's pretty obvious that we're lip-syncing with our instruments. It's especially apparent during the guitar solo. You can see that right as he starts, he smiles because he knows he just came in way too early. There are even some notes he plays in the recording that he just simply isn't playing when you watch the video. We all found it pretty funny and figured most people wouldn't even notice anyways, so we left it as is and called it a day. It was a really fun song to learn and perform, and hearing the original always reminds me of this great week where I had no obligations, no schedule, and all the hours of the day were dedicated towards making music. Weeks and even just days like this can be incredibly rare, but when they do appear, it can be a pretty magical time to look back on.
Will be a very special Christmas for me. Yeah.
July 24th, 2019. Can't Take It With You by Hangdog Expression. For the final song I'm going to highlight, this one comes from one of many backpacking trips that I took this summer. I spent more time outdoors this summer than I have probably in the rest of my life combined, and with it came a lot of ridiculous stories and lifelong memories. On this day, I hiked up to Mallow Mountain just northeast of Mount Bachelor with two good friends of mine. It was a relatively easy hike, and it felt as if we had stolen the amazing views that we got from the top because of how little we had to work for them. Usually this mountain is considered a day hike, but since it was so warm towards the end of July, we decided to spend the night right at the top, around 8,000 feet. We set up camp, built a massive fire, and romped around a beautiful mountain that we had all to ourselves. Nothing extraordinary happened this night, but every once in a while you hear a great song in the middle of a great moment, and for whatever reason, your brain decides that the two belong together from there on out. This song is one of those songs. Anytime I hear it come on, it's like I'm transported back to the top of that mountain. My back is freezing cold, my legs are getting their hair burned off by the massive fire in front of me, and there's music blasting out of a Beats pill about 20 feet away. And it could not have been any better.